This here is another viewer's broken gaming PC, and it's Bulbasaur themed. The owner says this system doesn't send a picture out, but it does turn on. And he says that this problem has been getting worse and worse over the past few months. His son was noticing infrequent crashes, blue screens of death, and one day he tried to turn it on and couldn't get a picture out. Welcome to Fix or Flop. Pertinent info is right here. I'm ready to jump into this one. Are you ready? Stay with me.
Want a modern way to work with email? Check out our good friends over at Mailgun. With their data-driven approach and easy-to-use UI, you can reach real customers at scale. Mailgun controls the entire email lifecycle, from pre-development through delivery, supporting companies like DHL, Wikipedia, and Microsoft through their powerful email APIs and intuitive email marketing solutions. You'll find useful tools like send time optimization, which automatically tracks and pushes emails to individuals at the times they're most likely to engage with them. You can also create massive reports for large email lists and test and avoid things like spam filters the next time you click send. Mailgun is the most relied upon email platform for growing businesses, and we greatly appreciate their continued support of this channel. Be sure to check them out today using my link, mailgun.com/Greg, which you can also find at the top of this video's description.
All right, so first things first, we need to attempt to power the system on, and I'm hoping either it works out right or we get the same symptom that the owner's describing. This will give us a good baseline, knowing where we have to start. Will point us hopefully in the right direction with regards to troubleshooting. It seems fine. Just checking connections here. He's got a little extra display here for system stats, I'm sure, and it's not connected right now. But I'm not getting a picture out. Let's see. No Dr. Debug LEDs. This is an AMD Ryzen system. His graphics card is quite old and very well could be the culprit here. It's an R9 390. Yeah, that's ancient. Well, okay, maybe not ancient, but definitely old by today's standards. And yeah, usually after about 7, 8, 9, 10 years, a card is gonna be close to its last leg if it hasn't been cared for, cleaned, etc. So we'll definitely keep our eyes on that. First thing I'm gonna do is disconnect from power and clear the CMOS, because after a few minutes we still aren't getting a signal out. And I'm not joking when I say this. I legit had somebody complain in the comments of one of our previous Fix or Flop videos because I showed clearing the CMOS and recommended it. That's a waste of time. That's what he said. He said that clearing the CMOS was a waste of time and it never fixes the issue. But it literally has. It's literally fixed a problematic build in one of our earlier Fix or Flop episodes. So just more proof that the comment section can be a bit crazy sometimes. It comes with the territory. Also got my eye on this smart 430 watt power supply. His wattage is cutting it kind of sort of close with an R9 390. I mean, despite the fact that the Ryzen CPU, more than likely in his rig, is pretty power efficient, the R9 390 sucks on juice. I mean, it's like with a big old straw. So yeah, something he'll definitely want to upgrade down the line. I just noticed we do have a debug LED array here, and you can see a few times the CPU light turns on. We've got VGA right there. That lights up for a few seconds and then cuts out, goes straight to the boot LED, which in theory, I guess it's like, looks like it's resetting itself again. In theory, once the boot LED turns on, we should be getting a post, but we aren't, so I also just noticed that his graphics card fans are not spinning at all, and you can see, I'll go ahead and reset it here for you. I just clicked reset, and we still aren't seeing the fan spin. That is not a good sign. I think at this point it makes the most sense to swap the graphics card. I've already checked to make sure his DDR4 is seated properly. I don't suspect that he has a bad DIMM. Again, it looks like the system is posting. We're just not getting picture out to the card, and it's just the motherboard can't detect that there's a card issue. Everything on the motherboard side seems okay, and that's why it's not indicating a VGA issue. That's what I expect is going on here, although I've been very wrong in the past in this playlist. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and swap his card out. We've got our old trusty XFX card with no supplemental PCI power required that we're gonna throw in here, and hopefully we'll get somewhere. I really doubt it's a dead CPU or motherboard this time around, although that has been the MO for many of these Ryzen systems for some reason. So out with the old, I can just carefully wiggle it on out of here. Oh, these stupid retention clips. Yeah, now it's stuck. There we go. Nice, nice, nice. Easy does it. A lot of wires here. And in with this weak old thing. Let's see. Again, several cables. This little monitor he's got here getting in the way a little bit. Slot her in. Don't have to worry about supplemental power. And we'll get our HDMI cable connected. Maybe we'll get a post this time. How are we gonna do? Power on. I'd be pretty shocked just based on the fact that the fans aren't spinning on the R9 390. If it wasn't a card issue. Oh, looks like a post. We're getting a signal. There it is. Uh-oh, folks. He has a dead graphics card. So we got this narrowed down fairly quickly. I'm gonna go ahead and try disassembling this, see if we find anything physically wrong with it inside. We'll repaste, reseat everything, and you never know. Sometimes that alone can fix a broken card. We'll start by removing all of these Phillips screws around the back plate. Before we blast this with IPA, I'm gonna remove all of these memory thermal pads as well. Set these to the side. These actually look to be in decent shape. I think we're gonna reuse them. Just carefully pry up one by one. We'll get as much of this thermal paste up as we can. I'm gonna use just a Q-tip without IPA at first. I think I'm gonna take this board outside, give it a quick dusting with our electric duster, and then we'll scrub manually with IPA afterwards. I'll see what I can do. I don't want to blast it with heat and just try to give it a quick fix, because ultimately, I mean, if this card is going back in the viewer's rig, even if we can get the card to work again, it's only a temporary fix, heating the GPU or around it. And we have a video talking about why it's usually not permanent. So I don't want to give this back to the viewer in the off chance that something goes wrong again in a few weeks or a few months. I'd rather just replace the card outright. This R9 390 is quite old. He has told me, the owner, that he's got no problem at all with replacing the card. He was more or less just curious as to what was actually the problem. But I think I'm still going to replace this with maybe something that's equitable but newer, maybe like an RX 570, or I'll see if I have like a GTX 1060 or something like that. So it won't be a huge performance change, but the card will be newer and should have decent life in it. And you can see now, after giving the card a good soak, we've got IPA. We used IPA to clean up pretty much everything we could, and the board's looking pretty sweet again. A bit of oil residue and things still lingering, but all in all, especially the GPU memory side of things, everything's looking good. Physically, the board still looks fine. I also was sure to clean up the cooler assembly a bit, the fan heatsink over there, and it's not a deep cleaning, but it's definitely much better than it looked when it first came in. So let's give this one final hoorah. If the card still doesn't work, we'll go ahead and swap them out with another one. Also, don't want to forget to repaste the die. Alrighty, and after all that, here we go. It's the moment of truth. We're gonna reconnect HDMI. I also, just quickly off camera here, checked that these two supplemental 8 pins, since they weren't included or weren't being used with our X card, were actually connected to the power supply, and I also probed them with the system on to make sure that they were sending power. So we're good on that front. There's no other reason why this card shouldn't be working, apart from the fact that there's, obviously a physical defect on the board itself. So let's give it a go. And the fans still aren't spinning. I mean, even if the card worked, at the bare minimum, we would need to replace the fans, which not even sure they make the kinds of fans you'll need for the Sapphire card anymore. But yeah, I don't think we're getting anything out of this. I think the card's bricked. Now, I did have someone at one point, actually I've had multiple comments about stuff like this in the past. Folks think that, people are planting known defective parts in their rigs and then sending them in to potentially be fixed. So for example, I'm sure someone might be thinking right now, well, Greg, the owner probably just threw in a card that he knew wasn't working, this R9 390, just so he could get another free card. Well, he's not gonna get like a huge upgrade in this. I really try to stick apples to apples, as close to apples as possible when it comes to power and performance. Unless it's some kind of sponsored spot, I really don't have any other incentive because I'm doing this for free, right? So I can't go out of my way every time to give you like this epic upgrade. That's why I stated wanting to swap this with maybe like an RX 470 or 570 or a GTX 1060, something that's like in the realm of this card's performance, but that's a bit newer, should have a bit more life in it. So yeah, this card definitely is not working. The fans aren't spinning, so I think there's something wrong with power delivery. That means we're gonna go ahead and turn the system back off and swap it for a known working card. And here we go. I have just the candidate. This here is an Asus RX 570, and it's decent. You know, it's a Strix model. It's not like super ultra high end or anything. It is used, but we've already tested it, run a plethora of tests actually, and this card runs very stable, very cool. So hey, it beats the heck out of a broken, outright bricked graphics card, right? So we'll go ahead and remove this card one last time. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it. I might send it in to see if it can be repaired, maybe by another tech channel. And we'll go ahead and slide in this RX 570. This is only gonna require one supplemental 8-pin PCIe power cable. So we'll tuck the extra one into the basement. How on earth? Oh, there's just the cables and things are like overcomplicating this. Oh, this is cringy. Bordering on cringe here. There we go. That's better. And we'll connect one. We'll tuck the extra down below. Alrighty, and the moment of truth. Power back on. Now the elephant in the room, I obviously wasn't able to DDU before removing the R9 390. These are still AMD graphics cards, but the drivers are gonna be a bit different, I imagine. So what I'm gonna tell the viewer to do, because I don't have the password to sign into the system, is have them DDU. They're gonna wipe completely any trace of any video driver and then start fresh. I just use AMD Auto Detect and it'll give you the most up-to-date relevant driver there. So there we go, boots straight into Windows super fast. It's ready to go. This thing wants the game, and now it finally can again, thanks to a new, at least to this viewer, graphics card. This was a fun one, a fairly easy one, I've got to say. Some of the more complicated ones usually involve swapping motherboards and CPUs, and it just gets a bit dicey when you're basically disassembling an entire rig, fiddling with tons of cables and whatnot. But swapping graphics cards is pretty straightforward, and that was one of the reasons why I was willing to jump straight to that after checking the CMOS itself and the DDR4. I mean, those two things take seconds, so knock those out because a lot of times those are to blame, believe it or not. And then the card was a quick and easy one for me because I saw that there was no signal out, and I also saw that the graphics card fans weren't spinning. That was an immediate concern, and that was one of the reasons why, again, I jumped right on it. So we got it right. We pretty much nailed it down about as quickly as I think we reasonably could have. You know, some people might have just gone straight to the card right away, but I did want to check the CMOS and check the RAM because they're, again, so quick to do. But system's up and running again. The color scheme probably needs to be tweaked a bit, especially with the card. Yeah, the card's got some red here. We got red LEDs up top, but green fans and a green, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the color scheme is supposed to be, but Bulbasaur theme system, pretty cool. Haven't seen that before. And hopefully this rig has several years of life left in it now that we've got the RX 570 8 gig in it now. With that, if you or someone you know has a broken system and you live in or around Orlando, Florida, I'd like a chance to fix it for free. We charge $0 for the service, and yeah, there's really nothing to lose apart from maybe your commute time to drop it off and pick it back up again. But as long as you're local or somewhat local, that is really all I ask. And the responses I'm trying to get better at. I'm trying to be quicker at approving or rejecting forms, and so all that stuff is going to be in the description if you want to check it out. You have to enter a few things just to give me a bit of insight into what is wrong with your rig, and we'll go from there. If you guys enjoyed this one, be sure to give it a thumbs up. That would be greatly appreciated. Please consider subscribing if you have not already. That subscription, while it doesn't mean as much now as it used to, is still a huge help. It's validation for the channel, and it really helps with the brand deals and things that we work out on the back end. So thanks for that support if you've already been subscribed, as long as you have. And consider leaving a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this one. Do you think I fixed it about as quickly as I could have? Should I have jumped on the graphics card train earlier than I did? I think the order of operations was pretty sound here and a pretty straightforward fix all around. With that, again, thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next one. My name is Greg. Thanks for learning with me.